Bangladesh police on Sunday said they have no specific information to suggest that Fazil Karim Masood, the prime suspect in the killing of Inqilab Munch spokesperson Sharif Osman bin Hadi, has left the country. Addressing an emergency press conference at the Ministry of Home Affairs, Additional Inspector General of Police Khandakar Rafiqul Islam said that law enforcement and intelligence agencies are actively trying to trace Fazil's whereabouts. He said, and I quote him, "We do not have specific information about his last location, but there is no confirmation that he's fled abroad," unquote. He added that no concrete evidence has yet emerged linking any political party to the murder. And to talk more about that, I'm joined by Veena Sikri, a former Indian High Commissioner to Bangladesh. Ambassador Sikri, always a pleasure to have you on this show. So now Bangladesh police itself admits that the alleged shooters of Hadi haven't fled to India. Ambassador, if we could try and understand this in the context of then why so much of anti-India sentiment on the streets of Dhaka and Bangladesh?
You know, this anti-India rhetoric against India has been on since last July. In fact, it was part and parcel of the regime change operation, which forced Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to leave Dhaka, and she's now in Delhi. And in fact, I would say that they found it necessary to whip up this anti-India rhetoric to show that actually whatever Sheikh Hasina did was linked with India. But after 18 months, this line hasn't got them any more popularity. They thought that if they do the anti-India rhetoric, and Sheikh Hasina has left the country, so then the popularity will all go to Jamaat-e-Islami, because Jamaat-e-Islami is the one force behind the regime change operation. Mohammed Yunus is only his spokesperson of Jamaat-e-Islami, mouthpiece of Jamaat-e-Islami, and behind Jamaat-e-Islami is Pakistan, and behind Pakistan are other Western powers. So the motive was to reverse whatever happened in 1971, because all the people who did the regime change operation were the losers in 1971, and now they think they have come on the winning side. But anti-Indian rhetoric, they thought, will get them more popularity. It just has not. And in fact, people are now very disappointed with Mohammed Yunus. There's no law and order. So many policemen were killed that nobody has come back. Still law and order is very hesitant. And then economy has gone down in the doldrums. And people in Bangladesh are religious, but they don't want Sharia law. They don't want a caliphate, and that is what the Jamaat-e-Islami and even the NCP, they keep talking about it. And Mr. Osman Sharif Hadi, who was shot dead, he had a very strong anti-India rhetoric as part of his entire campaign, Inqilab Munch and so on. And he used to really be very, very negative on that. But it's the thing is that this anti-India rhetoric hasn't worked. The Awami League vote bank is still intact. They still now remember Sheikh Hasina, and the focus is for them on bringing free, fair and inclusive elections. Because as you know, the Awami League's activities have been banned by Dr. Mohammed Yunus' interim regime. And I think that the reflection of the anti-Indianism was that the moment the shooting of Osman Hadi took place, the Indian High Commissioner was called in, and India was blamed for that, which is completely incorrect. In fact, I think the government, the interim...
So my question, Ambassador Sikri, my question is the same, that why is, you've served there, you study Bangladesh very closely, is there a constituency since, back in history, since 1947, since the East Pakistan days, which is which was anti-India, which remains anti-India? They might have broken away from Pakistan, but there is a constituency in Bangladesh which is anti-India?
Well, even in 1971, when the Liberation War was taking place, there was a Jamaat-e-Islami which was fighting on the side of Pakistan. There were the Razakars.
Yeah.
On the side of Pakistan, there were all these, the Al-Shams, Al-Badr, all these various very violent radical networks that had been set up. So I would say, yes, there would be about 20% of the population, maybe 20, 25 max, which would have been on the side of Pakistan. So they were there, and then after the Liberation War, after Sheikh Mujib came back, other people, even army officers who had been interned in, kept aside in Pakistan, Bengali origin army officers of the Pakistan army, and they were sent back to Bangladesh later. And they too, there has always been a clash within the Bangladesh army between the Mukti Baini who joined the army, the freedom fighters who joined the army, and the officers who came from Pakistan, who actually were kept in camps during the war. So this basis has always been there. But let us look at the other side. The other side is that there was a strong constituency in favor of India, in favor of good relations with India. Shoulder to shoulder, the Mukti Bahini, they fought shoulder to shoulder with India. We had a joint command with them. They received training in India. And all that was there. So then I think that it is...
So what you're saying, Ambassador, is there is a constituency, but it's a minority constituency. It's a small constituency.
Yes, and I'm saying that the constituency in favor of, let's say, the values of the Liberation War has not only includes Awami League, but many more who may not like Sheikh Hasina, who may not support the Awami League, but they support the Liberation War. They support the values of the Liberation War. So the efforts of the regime change people, the Jamaat-e-Islami, is to sideline this whole constituency, the Awami League. And this is what they have not been able to do. So
not just the Awami League. Awami League is just one party. I mean, the liberals in Bangladesh who want an inclusive society, who may not be Awami League, though the Jamaat might want to lump them all as Awami Leaguers.
That's right.
Okay, Ambassador, let me then ask you, which I've heard your response at a different forum, but let me ask you on my platform. Is it adding to the fire that Sheikh Hasina is in India and India is keeping Sheikh Hasina, given that there is so much anger against her in Bangladesh?
Not at all. This is just an excuse. I mean, a year ago, without even having done the trial case and so on, they kept saying, please send back Sheikh Hasina. On what basis you send back? And the extradition is a very legal and complex process. You have to assess all the papers. The papers, I think, have only come now because this sham trial that they did for her, the ICT is not even authorized to trial anybody except the war criminals of 1971. So that sham trial went on and the papers have only now come. The government of India will examine it and decide how how she was charged with what crimes, what was the case which was done, what did she have a defense lawyer. There's so many aspects of it, purely legal and some not so legal, but it's there. So it is quite absolutely on par. We have asked for extradition of people like Vijay Mallya and Nirav Modi. That's going on for years in the British courts, So these things take a very long time.
But Ambassador, it's not that India has given her, asylum here in India. But, by the end of the day, to keep her here, one can understand her life was under threat. She came here as a neighbor, as somebody who's been a friend of, who's a friend of Bangladesh. At that time, you gave her refuge. Then some would argue, then by the end of it, it's a political decision. Why just ask her to move on to a third country, somewhere in Europe or somewhere else?
First of all, a friend is a friend. Somebody with whom you had the closest cooperation, the closest friendship, you've had good understanding. Awami League, right from, the time of the Awami League's creation, I would say.
Even if she becomes a political liability for the country?
No, where is the political liability?
There is anti-India anger and sentiment.
One second. No. The anti-Indian rhetoric will go nowhere. Whether Sheikh Hasina is here or she goes back, the anti-Indian rhetoric is going to remain. Because that 20% is there in Bangladesh and they're going to try and whip up much more based on that. I'm trying to tell you that now at the end of 18 months, the rhetoric is being sharpened because actually it's not succeeding. It's not succeeding. The Awami League vote bank is intact. The popularity for the Liberation War thought is intact. People are regretting that they had such a good economic growth and now it's got finished completely. So please don't link up these two things. We never have. I mean, His Holiness the Dalai Lama has been in India for decades, but we are still continuing our relationship with China. We are still having economic, political, trade, everything, all kinds of relations. There are difficult times with China. There are good times with China. All that is there. It's par for the course. So I don't think that linking up this thing with Sheikh Hasina is in any way makes any sense.
Okay, that is about anti-India sentiment. Let's talk about the anti-minority sentiment. We saw the horrific way Deepu Chandra Das was lynched there. He's a Bangladeshi. Yes. Why the he's not an Indian. I can understand you can have anti-India sentiment. but he is your Bangladeshi brother. He is your
Yes.
Bangladeshi citizen. He may be Hindu. He may
The
be.
one-
So why is there anti-minority sentiment on the streets of Bangladesh that we see there? And I also want, because you've lived there, you watch that society very closely. Is it widespread, or is it just a fringe element which is punching above their weight of what we see transpiring there?
Well, I think even Mohammed Yunus had described it as a fringe element. He's very embarrassed. But the point is that this is what this same group has been encouraging. Right from the moment that Sheikh Hasina left the country, the first target was the Hindu, Buddhist, Christian, Sufi and Ahmadiyya minority. They targeted them because even in 71, if you ask people what happened, the moment the Pakistan forces, West Pakistan forces there launched a genocide, they targeted especially the Hindus and the Buddhists and the Christians because they want a caliphate, they want a Wahhabi state, they want radical Islam. And that is what they want that, and they want all the others to leave. In fact, so many of the Hindus who have been raped and lynched, and houses have been burnt, and their businesses have been destroyed. They're told, "Oh, take the money and go." They just want them to leave. But
how big of the section of society is this radicalized?
But again, it's that same 20% that we spoke about, and even among them, people, the way in which Dipu Chandra Jas was killed, it is barbaric, it is medieval. I think anybody in Bangladesh should hang their heads in shame that something like this has happened.
Many of the liberals have condemned that. Many of the liberals in Bangladesh have come out and condemned
Yes, they
that.
have condemned that, exactly. And also to understand that actually Mohammed Yunus is in complete denial. I mean, this time he's saying yes, because there was so much furor in India and across the world. Like, it's a fringe element and it's only one case. No, there have been thousands of such cases. But he's been in denial. Even in New York 2 months ago, he told people, "Oh, this is all fake news from India. This is not happening here." He's in complete denial, and we must take him up on that, because he cannot be in complete denial about the kind of treatment that is being given to the Hindus, the Buddhists and the Christians in Bangladesh. It's a complete shame.
True. If he is in the interim government, then he needs to act like one and not let the mob rule the street. That's the least he can do if he can't handle the economy, though he's an economist and an erstwhile good friend of yours.
Well, he was known to many people, but now he's just a mouthpiece of Jamaat-e-Islami. It's amazing what change has come. And now people are recalling, his family in Chittagong was like this and all that. But it is just true. His true colors have come out now. I hope the West is taking note. Because he's just a spokesman of Jamaat-e-Islami. Yeah.
Okay. All right. The third aspect that I want to come on, Ambassador, is there is one man who's coming to Dhaka in 4 days, Tarique Rahman, the son of Begum Khaleda Zia, who herself is very unwell, the president of the BNP. Could the latest surge of unrest be linked to Tarique Rahman's return, given that he's going to launch the campaign on behalf of his mother's party?
Well, there's been a lot of discussion about Tarique Rahman's return. So far, he's not been allowed to come back. I think the Jamaat-e-Islami is scared of his popularity. Because, yes, after the Awami League has been banned, everybody seems to assume that, okay, maybe BNP will get the vote. But I don't think that's there, because BNP has made itself very unpopular because they have participated in all these extortion rackets right from day one. And, all that was being blamed on the Awami League earlier. The BNP is now doing it. And that is why at the grassroots level, they have made themselves very unpopular. With the business community, they have made themselves very unpopular. And then also there's a split in the BNP. There is a moderate faction who values the Liberation War values, and there's a staunchly pro-Jamaat faction. So I think this pro-Jamaat faction will be happy to join with the Jamaat at any time, like they did during 2001, 2006. But I think the other main factor to be remembered is that will he actually come back? I think the BNP wants him to come back, but there's still a question mark. His wife has just gone back to London, and so we have to wait another 3-4 days to know whether he'll actually come back. And then once he comes back, how will he be allowed to function in the political arena? I think there is a huge security issue also, which Tarique Rahman himself is very aware of, and that will also come into play. But it is a matter which is now at its final stage, so let us see what happens in another 3 days.
All right, let's wait and watch how it unfolds. Is the February 12th election under cloud with the way things are unfolding, Ambassador? What is your assessment?
Well, I think very clearly that the February 26 election has to be free, fair, and inclusive. It has to be participatory in order to be credible. And that is what actually is what the government of India has made very strong statements about. And I think this should be followed up with even more action to make sure. Because if those elections are not credible, are not participatory, then they'll not be accepted by the people. There'll be continued instability, continued insecurity, continued killings, and so on. And it'll be really terrible because then we don't.
So the credibility will be under question.
Right.
Okay, as you suggest, if a part of the BNP breaks, teams up with the Jamaat and forms a government, assuming February 12th elections go ahead, would that be a matter of concern for India? What should India's approach be?
Well, Jamaat-e-Islami has not changed its position at all. I mean, they keep making, lip service.
I mean, Jamaat can't come into power on their own. If a section of the BNP breaks, they team up. They can form the government.
Right now, the Jamaat-e-Islami is getting together all the Islamist forces, all the smaller Islamists, thinking they'll be able to get more. In fact, the latest, one of the surveys published by the IRI, the International Republican Institute, shows now that there's a very small difference between Jamaat and BNP. And if you add those who haven't said what they're going to vote, the uncertain, then you might, and then if you add the vote given to NCP and other parties, this new Students' Party, then the Jamaat goes ahead according to this survey. But I think that first of all, we really should not accept non-participatory elections. I think that's really calling for trouble in Bangladesh, and there's going to be continued unrest, which is very bad for India, for regional stability, for peace and democracy. We really should put every force ahead to have participatory elections.
So it's very important what unfolds in Bangladesh in the coming days because that will shape not just the politics of that country, but the very future of that country. Ambassador Veena Sikri, would have loved to talk more to you on this, but we can do it another day. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.